Hi again, everybody. Welcome to our ongoing series, our Advent drawing journey here for 2020. Every day we're taking just a few minutes to add a little more detail, another figure, another element of the story of Jesus' birth. And over the last several days, we've been adding in the Magi, those star watchers, or sometimes we call them the wise men, who studied the stars and the signs in the sky, and they were convinced that what they saw in the sky told them things about what was going on earth. And God used that. God was willing to speak their language, so to speak. God is willing to communicate to them in a way that people from far, far away in other countries would know to hear the word that a king had been born, and that somehow this king, a little baby it turns out, born in Bethlehem, was good news for them too. In our last couple of episodes, we added in our first of the wise men or Magi, and we imagined he's carrying gold. Then we added somebody last time carrying incense, which is sort of used often in worship life in the ancient world and as sort of a symbol of prayers going up. So this idea that the king who was born also somehow would like be a priest, would be like someone who could bring our concerns and our needs to God for us. And the third Magi is the one that we're going to be drawing in today. And we'll talk about the gift that he brings in just a minute. So, okay, the third gift that Matthew's gospel mentions when he talks about the Magi who bring these gifts for the Christ child is a thing called myrrh. And like frankincense, myrrh is something that's mostly used because it has a special smell to it. I'm not sure if you would think it was pleasant smelling, but again, in a world where nobody got to take a shower and where nobody had invented fresh smelling soap, having anything that had a pleasant smell, especially in situations where somebody was sick, or maybe for the burial of the dead, to make that experience smell a little bit better, that's what they used it for. So myrrh was actually something they used when they were preparing somebody for burial, in a way to help make what was an uncomfortable, difficult time at least smell a little bit better, as part of the spices that they would use in preparing somebody for burial. We'll talk in just a second about why that might have anything to do with Jesus, especially Jesus being born. I mean, here's a baby just starting out his life, but let's first draw this myrrh in and our Magi bringing it. So this is something that is collected as almost like tree sap, and then it hardens, it dries into little like almost crystal looking like rock. So we're going to make like a little jar or something that the Magi could be keeping this in, just like that. And now we're going to draw in our wise man, our star watcher, who's holding this jar full of myrrh. So let's do like we did last time. Let's start with making the letter M as our starting point. M that can be for Magi, but also it's going to be sort of the anchor point for making the clothes that he's wearing. We're going to bring an arm down here. He's going to have an arm down here, and that becomes sort of part of the robe that he's wearing. And don't worry, I know there's lines that we've got that are crisscrossing from our road. We'll be coloring it in, and it'll be all right. But there's where we're getting started. We're going to put a head on this guy, and maybe we're going to give him a flat little hat to wear, just like that. And now I think we'll put him on an animal too, just like we did the other Magi we did last time. So to do that here, we're gonna make sort of like a peanut shape and put some ears on top of that, and a neck coming down, and then a sloping neck up because he's riding something like a camel. I'm gonna put one leg hanging down on one side, and this camel's got one leg coming down here, and we're gonna have one bent leg coming like that. And then the back side of this animal has a leg coming there, and another leg back there. And there we've got ourselves some Magi, each of them bringing different gifts. When we get to coloring, we may color them each in different colors to separate each one of them. And again, like we said before, we don't know for sure how many of these star watchers there were. Matthew mentions 3 gifts, but I suppose 2 people could have brought 3 gifts, or there could have been 20 people who came and brought 3 different gifts. Interestingly, the Bible doesn't tell us how many, but the Bible does give us these particular gifts. We said that the gold sort of suggests somebody who knows that he's bringing a gift to a king. That suggests kind of royalty, the way kings would be surrounded by gold and wealth. Incense, again, we talked about as this kind of special object that was often used in worship or in relating to God. And so that maybe the Magi had a sense that this king they were coming to see was also going to be able to bring our needs to God, or bring a word from God. And myrrh, we said, is something they would often use when they were getting people ready for burying the dead. And again, that might sound like a weird thing, a weird birthday present for Jesus. But for all these years since Jesus' birth, a lot of folks have thought, I wonder if that's supposed to be a hint to us. I wonder if we're supposed to remember that the whole story of Jesus' life is also a story that leads toward Jesus going to the cross for us, and that this Magi might not have understood all of what that meant, but at least might have had a sense that somehow this child, the way he was going to reign, the way he was going to rule, the way he was going to bring in God's kingdom, wasn't about being rich and powerful or bullying and bossing other people around, but that somehow by dying, somehow that could bring God's kingdom. And in fact, that's just what Jesus comes and does. Jesus' way of reigning and ruling and bringing God's kingdom isn't to bully other people around, but his willingness to lay down his life for us at the cross and then to rise again. So when you think of those three gifts that the Magi bring, however many Magi there were, those are things we can remember about Jesus, that he died and gave his life for us, and that's his strange but beautiful way of bringing God's kingdom, that he's like a priest was in the ancient world who brings our needs to God and brings God's message to us, and also he's a king, and the gold can remind us of that too. So those are the Magi, and we're going to add in different details in our picture coming up the next time we get together here on our Advent drawing journey. Thanks everybody for being with us. Bye.